Alright, just to state, I will not be doing the romance scenes. I'm just gonna do this scene. I'm gonna do this part where she does this stuff. And then right when I know the romance is gonna come on, I'll pause it. And then skip ahead. So anyways. Could you close and lock the door? Hanako's hand reaches for her chest, grabbing her blouse at her heart. I turn and lock the door, shut, then freeze. The atmosphere begins to feel quite strange. This feeling is only made more profound when I hear the curtains being pulled behind me. It's going to be night soon. Well, we're a guy and a girl in the bedroom. She's closing the curtains and I'm shutting and locking the door. She can't really have that in mind, can she? I gulp and turn around very, very slowly. Hanako's in the center of the room but hasn't turned back to face me. You told me about your past, so I had to tell you mine. She took a deep, shuddering breath and pauses for a number of seconds. Her hands move to her ribbon and begin to tug, all but confirming my thoughts. Hanako. Please, don't say anything. I obediently stay hushed as she sips off her ribbon and continues to unbutton her blouse, before working the clip on her. The process is slow, but it just feels slow because of what she's doing. I'm not sure. Frozen to spot, all I can do is watch as Hanako, hands trembling, unclips her skirt and lets it drop to the ground. Look, my hand's covered. It is nothing bad, so I won't have to censor anything here, and I'll keep this in. There's really nothing bad I can do to censor. Thank you, health class. This is taking the atmosphere. I hate this music, man. Finally, he takes her blouse in her hands and draws it off, her bra falling from her shoulders, and so Hanako stands in the middle of the room, all but bared, save for her stockings and underwear. This is me. All of me. Why gotta zoom in there? I mean, thank God I have my hand covered. My eyes are immediately drawn to the scarring on her back. The skin on her right side is of a similar texture to that of her face, but it's also stretched taut and covering a much larger area. The scarring is by far the worst on the shoulders, and thighs. This is my heart attack redefined my life. This is the event that redefined Hanako's. If I'd seen this when I first met her, I'd have been shocked. Not only at the sight, but also at the idea that something like this was survivable. But after having had time to get used to the idea and after seeing the scars on her face, hands, and collar, my reaction is more measured. My reaction right now is not to the scarring, but to her body. The fire happened when I was 8 years old. It was night, and we were sleeping when it started. Hanako's voice trembles, the shaking of her blouse giving away the fact that her hands are doing just the same. I curled up into a ball. When the fire swept over me, my mother tried to shield me. That's the only reason I lived. Hanako's eyes begin to moisten, her voice cracking under the combined pressure of exposing herself to me like this. I'm gonna pause it. I'm back. Her voice cracking under the combined pressure of exposing herself to me like this, and reliving those painful memories from so long ago. I want to say something, anything to make her feel better. I can't though. I feel completely useless when faced with a situation like this. She's forcing herself to come so close, yet it's at times like this that I feel most distant to her. I want to make sure. Okay. I'm sorry for making you see this. There's no point in denying the obvious. I think what I should say now, and what Hanako wants me to say now, is the truth. What I genuinely, honestly believe. It doesn't matter. You're a wonderful person, Hanako. Your body doesn't change that. She looks at me for a long time, her breathing uneven as she tries to remain steady amidst the emotions we're both feeling. Feels less like she's looking at me than she's looking through me. I slowly walk towards her and gently place my hand on her shoulder as she lets go of her blouse. She gasps a little, not in fright but in simple startlement. Alright, so I can censor like the next scene. I can. And I will. I'm just not gonna do it when they go like completely romance. I'm not gonna do that. I can't censor that part with Windows Movie Maker. Being so close to her causes my mind to become a jumble of feelings. Scarring on her shoulder, plain to see and leather-like to touch. Conflict strangely with her otherwise soft skin and silky dark hair. Hana's a girl with all that entails. She's taller than usual for a woman, but still has the nape of her neck just visible thanks to her hair slung over her shoulders alluring. I know that I'm not pretty like Lily,
I just wanted you to see me. The real me.
I still have my hand over my computer screen, and since I'm playing this in a small box, I can't see anything. I've already seen the real you though. You didn't need to take off your clothes for that. See, look, I have my hand over the screen. I can't see it. Her lips are open just a little. She lifts out with a sharp breath, as without thinking, I briefly lean forward and press my lips to hers. The kiss only lasts for a fleeting moment before our faces part. I breathe in quick and nervous. The feeling of Hanako's mouth lingers as her eyes remain locked to mine. Trembling a little myself, I remove my tie and begin undoing the buttons of my shirt. Hanako remains standing where she is, looking at the ground in front of her rather than watching me undress. On the other hand, I'm thankful for that. I've always been somewhat self-conscious in my body, but my scar has made that quite a lot worse. On the other though, this atmosphere feels very strange. My shirt falls to the floor in a heap, as untidy and crumpled as Hanako's blouse and skirt. Hanako's entire body visibly flinches at the sound of the zipper on my trousers being pulled down. My trousers join my shirt on Hanako's floor next to the bed, as do my socks in short measure. I hesitate before taking off my boxers and end up leaving them on. They represent one last hurdle I don't think I can overcome quite yet. Sheer embarrassment stops me, along with not wanting Hanako getting even more worked up. My unease about the situation has also left me needing my own stimulation. Thank God I can press the right mouse button to pause. Hanako. She gives a nod without so much as glancing at me and makes her way to the bed as I do. She washes her legs with wooden sticks. I find it amusing that I won't doing exactly the same thing. I take the initiative, turning on and sitting on the side of the bed. I look to her face to invite her to take a seat either next to me or in front of me, but I end up awkwardly looking down to stop myself from staring at her body. Shrimp. There's three sentences. There's shrimp, there's fish, and there's a pineapple. This is fun. And then after a couple seconds, it ends. The sound of Hanako's breathing in my own rings in my ears, almost painfully loudly. Hanako holds an arm over her face, her mouth opening, gulping in air. As I hold myself over her, suddenly my arms almost give away and my vision distorts, as if someone's grabbed it and pulled sideways. I let myself fall sideways onto the bed, besides the panting Hanako for fear of falling onto her instead. We both lie beside each other, naked, and press against one another in order to fit on a bed made for a single person. My eyes try to focus on the ceiling, to not much success. Pulling a blanket over us to stave off the cold is all I can do. The only sound in the room is that of her breathing. The sweat that had accumulated on my body feels uncomfortable, both physically and emotionally exhausted, and a complete mess all over. Oh no. Dun dun. My vision slowly begins to return to normal as I continue to stare at the ceiling, but my limbs still feel like jelly. I try to concentrate on my chest and find it to be irregular and mildly painful. This is a dangerous time. I have to think this through and not panic, lest I make my situation any worse. With a huge effort, I take control of my erratic breathing, forcing myself to make long, deep breaths. I count half a dozen before I start to feel physically calm again and press my hand on my chest to assure myself. My heart beats back to normal. I'm okay. I turn my face towards Hanako, who's already looking at me. Her expression looks pretty dazed, but underneath that is definitely a look of concern. She's realized what happened. I'm okay. Everything's back to normal. I find myself barely able to get the words out between breaths. I don't think we'll tire a normal body out this much, so I have no doubt my condition's at least partially at fault. Why did my body have to do this right now? All thoughts of my heart though are pushed aside as I see the wide smile forming on Hanako's face. That smile is really worthwhile. Really is. This game hits you right in the heart, man, with the feels. As always, I smile back without another thought. Hanako's smile has always been infectious in its almost childlike sweetness and earnesty, something that sets her apart from anyone else I know. Right now, we don't need words. Everything we want to communicate to each other, we can share just fine without them. Let me just go to sleep. My eyes feel heavy as they slowly open, the light from outside making me blink a bit to let them get adjusted. My body feels like lead, and my head feels just as heavy. Waking up to an unfamiliar ceiling is an uncomfortable feeling. It reminds me of the first time I woke up to the dimpled white tile ceiling of the hospital. It's only after spending a few seconds staring up at it that I realize who I am. This is Hanako's dormitory room. I feel as though my heart stopped again, as the events of last night rushed through my head, blood rushes my cheeks, and I shut my eyes once more. There's very little point to getting myself worked up this early though, so I try to push such things out of my mind for now. I hold my head to see if Hanako's where she was when I drifted off to sleep, or that there's now an empty space on the bed in the room beyond. I sluggishly sit up and rub my eyes before pinching the bridge of my nose and looking around the room. The only person here is me. I still bare fit my clothes, and after a quick scan of the room for them, I notice that they're neatly folded in the corner of the room. Try as I might, I can't see Hanako's anyways. The foil packet for the then we move to presumably put into the bin. With a great yawn, I get myself out of bed and quickly look for some underwear. I grimace a little to pressure putting my boxers back on after yesterday's efforts did a job on them, but I don't have much choice. Taking advantage of the fact that I have some time without anyone around, I get myself dressed for the coming school day in short order. Then I'm alone. Without anything more to busy myself with, my mind becomes focused on the fact that I'm standing in another person's bedroom that we spent the night together. But there's not a single sign of her around. My gut proves to be more helpful than my brain at working out this riddle. For loud growl, it reminds me that she may well just be getting breakfast. I don't like to wake up next to her, but maybe it's a good thing that I have a few moments alone. Hanako's room, as always, is quite bleak in appearance. There are precious few decorations, and practically no personal artifacts are hidden away in cupboards and drawers. She lived here for 3 years, but the room looks like it's just barely been occupied for a single day. I shouldn't overthink this. She might just like living this way as some do. Having the ability to put such low stock in physical possessions does have its advantages. But even so, it feels a little disconcerting given her past. She certainly viewed herself as having had her life on hold while at the orphanage. She certainly lives as she still does, but after what happened last night, it's pretty hard to imagine that she still thinks that way. The sound of the door handle cracks through my thoughts and I turn to face it. Sure enough, Hanako comes through and shuts the door behind her. She has what seems to be 2 microwaved instant meals in her hand, so this is a little difficult. Good morning, Hanako.
Morning.
She gives a little bow before making her way to her desk. Setting down both plates, I can now see them to be small satay dishes. Their contents steaming with a fork stuck inside the rice of each. I give thanks to her for bringing them in, and we take each as a one and get down to eating. She sits on her desk chair while I sit on the side of my bed. I don't like talking while eating, so the silence between us isn't annoying in of itself. It's the fact that it only exists because we don't quite know what to say to each other that's off-putting. Hanako glances toward me every so often as she eats. I only notice her doing so because I'm doing just the same thing. We're eating together as if we're a couple. We even have— Why? Don't bring up that word. A first of the both of us. Something feels wrong though. Maybe that's why we can't even say a word to each other as we finish our plates and leave them in the sink. Maybe that's why we leave Hanako's room without holding hands or making small talk. Maybe that's why it feels as if we're further apart than we've ever been before. We went to the classroom together, none of us so much as glancing at each other just before after we would do so. I realized that this may have been a mistake. Shizune lifts her eyebrow at the sight, her suspicions raised. We reach the center aisle between the classroom desk and look at each other. I'm not quite sure what I should say. Does she want me to address her as a girlfriend? I didn't think our relationship was— Oh, that's why this feels so strange. See you.
Okay.
I awkwardly hold up a hand as we part and take our seats at our respective desks. I can't even look back at her out of embarrassment. I feel like the gulf between Hanako and me is because of me. Hey, no, you go sit back in your seat. Shizune begins to make her way towards me, but then Mutao enters the room. Yes, Mutao! I'm thankful for his arrival being so well timed, drawing Shizune into questioning away to wait for another time. I would have been able to answer her anyways. I like Hanako, but I've never told her what my feelings for her are. Hanako never says she saw me as anything beyond a friend either. Yet despite that, we slept together. No. The bird signal to begin lunch rings out. Mutao's taken a little off guard. His chemistry lecture being cut off mid-sentence, much to his chagrin. For the entirety of the class, his rambling has passed the one ear and out the other as my mind moves over the question of Hanako. I can't get out of my mind, and by now I've managed to wind myself up about it. I realized that she never said yes to what we did. She didn't say no either. But would she have been able to? She's extremely submissive at the best of times, and no doubt it took a gargantuan effort to show me a scarring. I decided to try and make a conversation with her. That would be better than the monosyllabic communications that have been the most we've managed between each other so far today. I walk to her desk intending to chat, but she awkwardly blushes and looks down even before I've come up to her. I take a breath to speak, but find myself lost for words. What in the world should I say to her? Hearing approaching footsteps, I turn to see Shizune and Misha already making their way towards us. No doubt with the intentions to start asking troublesome things. A couple of other classmates are looking at us and gossiping between themselves as they throw sidelong glances. They must have noticed Hanako and me coming in together earlier. I open my mouth to reassure Hanako, but she preempts me.
I've gotta go do something.
She gets out of her chair and dashes for the door. A couple of the books and pens that were on her desk were sent falling to the floor in a rush. Not many people seem to care about this event. A few look around to see what all the fuss is about, but go back to what they were previously doing soon after. I'm left despairingly looking at the door that Hanako disappeared out of. The idea of running after her passes through my mind, but I'm fairly sure that Hanako can run faster than I can. But if this was Hisa was me, I would have been able to chase after her quick. I'm a fast runner. And besides, what would I say to her once I cut up anyway? Sup? Eventually, I simply crouched down and began picking up the items that had fallen to the ground from my desk. I feel low in every way, reduced to this as students pass by me on their way out of the room. Uh-oh. I feel a tap on my shoulder. I look up to see Shizune and Misha looking at me. Curiosity about the situation written on their faces, mixed with a slightly apologetic look at the idea that they are partially responsible for what just happened.
Shi-chan, if we can help at all.
I just shake my head. This isn't a matter for them. And from Shizune's expression and the tone of Misha's voice, I think they know the same thing. Shizune acknowledges my response and gives a solemn bow before making her way out of the room. Misha soon follows her out, obediently following her role as Shizune's shadow. Pick myself up, books and pen in hand, place them inside Hanako's desk with the classroom now empty. I end up just leaning against her desk and thinking to myself in silence. It feels like there's a complete emotional disconnect between Hanako and me. We haven't known each other for all that long. Despite wanting to start going out with her, I really don't know that much about her and few things. I've been studying as hard as I can for exams, but I still don't feel like I have any real sense of direction behind it. Tried to be a friend to Hanako, even if I couldn't tell her my feelings. And all we've done is drive each other apart. How can I even write a letter back to the one who ever loved me? Iwanako. What should I do? What can I do? I simply don't know the answer to any of those questions. I do know that nobody else can help me with them. Just going back to the way things were would be enough to make me happy. But I don't think that it can never but I know that it can never happen. Something's changed between us last night. Maybe it changed beforehand, it just came to a head then. I know there's a wall that Hanako has between me and her. I've been hitting that wall every time I try to interact with her on any level. But now I'm beginning to think that I have my own wall between us just as much as she does. She had to practically drag my past out of me, and mine was much less traumatic than hers. I want to say it's because I haven't had long to adjust since my heart attack, but I know for a word that it will just be an excuse. The one time I can recall when I felt really like she was opening up to me of her own accord when we were playing billiards in the city. I was the one who stopped her from going further. I want to know Hanako better. I want to save our friendship, if not begin a real relationship with her. My mind begins to tick as I sit against her desk, thinking to myself in the empty classroom that we spent so much time in together. I have to talk to Hanako. I pace around in the park, a feeling of anxiety rolling over me. Every so often I reach into my pocket to take out my phone, but each and every time I hesitate and end up slipping it back in. If this were any normal situation, I wouldn't be cutting classes. Unfortunately, it isn't, and so I find myself in the town below the school at 2 in the afternoon. Ever since I met Hanako, I've been the one to initiate everything between us. The one that started conversations, went to her wherever she was, and suggested what we should do. Today, this once, I don't want to be the one doing that. I'm gonna end it right here. Thanks, and I'm gonna end it right here. Thanks, guys. We're getting close to the end.